Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sol Rodriguez Sebane. I'm an Argentinian playwright, screenwriter, and university professor. I'm not a native speaker, so forgive any mistakes I may make. I would like to start talking about how I wrote body art. I started writing body art in 2005. I was 21 years old and I had my whole life in front of me. It was my first year of playwriting studies, and I was just starting to understand what the artistic world was about. That's why I think body art was born of an impulse to create something of my own. Here in Buenos Aires, there is a lot of independent theater, small places of 40, 50, or 100 seats that put on self produced plays. I wanted to be part of this. I wanted to be successful in the theater system. That thirst for success was what motivated me to write body art, exposing all my vulnerability and my ridiculousness. So wanted to mock a bit the type of plays called biodramas, bioplay, biographical drama, those that are based on someone's life. These plays had a certain solemnity because they were supposed to talk about something true and not fictional. But I believe that on a stage, everything becomes fictional. So I created a story about two female visual artists, a mentor and a mentee, who narrate their life together, how they met, how they achieved success, how they fell in love with each other, deceived each other, how their lives took different turns, and finally, how they parted ways. The artwork can be a bit snobbish, and I wanted to poke fun at this. It was the first play I wrote in my life. Then I wrote a lot more, but body art has always been in my heart. And now I like to talk about my way of playwriting, the tools I use, and also the tools I give to my students. Here in Argentina, I give playwriting classes and workshops in Spanish, of course. So thank you for being there. I like to talk about the word structure. I'm not a big fan of this word because it implies something solid and always built in the same way. And I observe that structures are diverse. Some are linear, others circular, fragmented, episodic. Some operate with dreamlike logic, while others simply don't tell any story. That's why I prefer to say the constructive procedures or constructive ways of plays. Each play has its own way to be built, which doesn't fit in a previous analytical model. Analytical frameworks, such as the actantial, do you work with the actantial model, the one with a subject desiring an object involving a helper, an opponent? Well, either this actantial model or the Aristotelian model serve to shed light on some aspect but leave the others in the shadow. Often they simply don't fit when analyzing specific plays. Instead of forcing a play into a model, we create an unique analytical model for this play, or for each play. For instance, are you familiar with the play 4.48 Psychosis by the English author Sarah Kane? In this play, there's no narrative. It seems to express on paper the psychosis rhythm without even a speaking character. It's organized into 24 fragments that follow different logics. Why use the Aristotle mode of analysis in this play if there's no story? Kane's work requires its own analytical model. I think that in contemporary theater, there are some logics from other sides that come into the play, giving a different rhythm. Some plays follow the logic of a museum, like Museo Miguel Angel Boesio Museum, by the Argentine author Federico León, or Inventories by the French author Philippe Mignana, which takes the form of a TV or radio contest. These kind of plays are often referred to as post-dramatic. Maybe you know this, but this is a video, so I had to say it. Post-dramatic theater is a term used to describe plays that go beyond the dramatic. What does it mean? This term refers to a style of theater that go beyond traditional dramas, structures, and conventions. Post-dramatic theater is often characterized by fragmentation, the absence of a clear linear narrative, and greater experimentation in terms of form and content. These plays might not have situational scenes, and you won't find any classical plot with a transforming protagonist who achieves or doesn't achieve their goal. These plays are organized into fragments, and often characters undergo no change. Multiple stories may unfold simultaneously, or as in Sarah Kane's play Psychosis, there might not even be a single narrative. So you can ask how to keep the tension without a dramatic situation. In conventionally dramatic plays, tension captures the audience's attention. Someone wants something, faces opposition, whether it's a person, an environment, or even themselves. In the end, they either achieve it or they don't. Will Helen in A Doll's House by Ibsen survive the extortion she finds her Selim? Will Hamlet succeed in avenging his father? But how does the tension, the attention, grab the audience in a work that is not constructed dramatically? Dramatic works, the audience empathize with the protagonist as they move towards their goal and feels excitement when they finally achieve it. But if there's no story, no protagonist, what captivates the audience? The change in rhythm. One way to keep the audience engaged is bury the rhythm of the work. You can transition from large textual chunks to faster paced moments with shorter, more concise lines. I believe body art can be classified within post dramatic theater. It operates through fragmentation and is essentially narrative. Well, are we doing well? No, I'll focus more on body art specifically. I had a teacher, Rubén Schumacher, here from Argentina, who used to say that when analyzing a play, you should take it, look at it from afar, as if you didn't know the language, and see the parts that make it up. Look at this play is by Philippe Niñana, Inventories. So full of words, a lot of words. And then I have this play by Jean Fosse, a Norwegian playwright. Can you see quite a difference? Very short lines. When we look at body art, we will see it has 7 main parts with an introduction and at the end an epilogue. If you were to see the play written in Spanish, you also notice this. Look at this. This is in Spanish. You can see 0, 1, the parts, the fragments are clearly defined. And here there is a change in rhythm. Large text and shorter. and you have a poem, like a poem, you have a song. So seven main parts, three characters, those are the basics, but not any less important. You can see clearly in the paper how a body art has been built. The constructive way is evident in the paper. So, Hélène and Aimé tell their story together, and the seven parts of the play are like seven stations of their relationship. Each turning point in the relationship leaves a souvenir. One, the AG underwear lingerie bag. Two, photos from the car accident. Three, recordings of Helen intimate diary. Four, I Mess Dance. Five, the love song of from Body Art. Six, René, René, a character who is a souvenir in himself. And finally, seven, Helene's slides and her living art, her body art. It's true that it's a basic dramatic situation. And they seem to come together in this last performance to tell their story for the last time. But the hook, what grabbed the audience, is in the narrative. So if we look at staging body art, it doesn't really give you any specific directions. You can do it in a lot of different ways. When my play was picked for this context, Natombi, the organizer, and Germeo, the chosen director, asked me about the characters and how to set things up. Honestly, I've seen five different versions of body art, and they were all totally different. That's why I told them, hey, let each director pick their own way to do it. It's a play to try things out with. Body art works like a museum. They dig into their relationship, doing archaeology, showing off pieces, bits of their past together. It's like an art show, you know? We call it a vernissage in French. Vernissage. The outside logic of the vernissage makes it comfortable for the viewer. It's not a typical play like A Dollhouse by Ibsen, but it has its own logic, its own groove, a bit like an exhibition that puts you at ease and keeps you interested. Well, I try doing that with body art, using fragments of different lengths and organized differently on the page. Fragments, the breaks often renew the reader's or the viewer's attention, depending the case. These changes in rhythm are like music, moving from an adagio to an staccato, from a largo to an allegro. In this type of writing, changing the rhythm is usually an option. In body art, for instance, you have a medium pace in the scene one, and then the scene two, the accident. You have you can see that the rhythm is faster. If you look at the first part of the scene two, it's spring, it's spring, it's spring. She's learning to talk like me. In Spanish es primavera, es primavera, es primavera. Ella está aprendiendo a hablar como yo. If you look at this, you will see that the change of rhythm can easily be seen on paper. It's physically there. I always remember that when I was writing the play, the last part you can see in the play that Ellen cuts herself and Emma saves her. That part what was in the middle of the play, but the accelerated rhythm sounded like the end. And my teacher of that moment, Lola Arias, I loved her. She's an Argentinian artist. She told me that it was the end of the play and she asked me to move it, and so it came to be the end. That's all, folks. I'm going to send you an exercise that you can do it now or at home. I want you to try this rhythm thing, an exercise of that. And you can send questions to me by email. I put my email here because it's very difficult, solrseoane@gmail.com. I wanted to say thank you to Global South Playwright Event for giving me this huge opportunity to listen and to be heard. To Natombi, of course, to Jeremy, my director, Andy and Jason, my fellow playwrights on this occasion. And especially, thank you very much to all of you for being there on the other side of the screen and in the other side of the ocean, and for taking the time to share with me. Thank you.